Hey everyone, I'm Darren from Teknikio, and I'm super excited to be here as part of Made in NYC Week. We've been collaborating with Made in NYC for several years, and today we're going to talk about some of our STEM project kits for um, children of all ages, we like to say, so anyone who's a child at heart, and then also just walk you through some resources that we have that are really great for at-home learning during this time. And then we have a special guest who I'm really excited about, who is going to share some of her experiences with our products and also give you some fun facts about penguins, which will make more sense in a little bit. But just to start here, I will just show you how to navigate some of our resources. Um, so here we are at teknikio.com, and we actually have a second website, which I'll get into in a minute. So this main website, as you can see, gives a little bit of background on Teknikio, and I'm actually going to play this little video to show you in a more interactive way what we're all about. Great. So hopefully that gave a general idea. So we design different creative electronics, as we call them, which are easy to embed into materials like paper and fabric and cardboard. And everything we do is designed to be reusable. And so on our website, you can see some of our recommendations for Learn from Home. And I just also wanted to start off by mentioning that it's October, which is Halloween, which is a great month for these kinds of projects. And so we have this special tote kit, which is actually the project that we did last year and made an NYC week. And traditionally, it's for trick or treating. So you can see, I don't know if you can see in the camera, but the eyes are lighting up on the ghost LEDs. So we have this mini kit available, and we encourage you to just still decorate a little tote bag if it's not for trick or treating, just for when you go out during the day. Um, and then you can see just some of our other products here. And on our second site, so if you click on this free project guides here, you'll come to our inventions database. And so this inventions database has step-by-step guides for all kinds of projects. And like it mentioned in the video, a key part of Teknikio is that everything is designed to be reusable. So if you go in here and you say, for example, I have one of these ghost LEDs, it's going to show you different projects around the ghost LED and just give some step-by-step instructions on how to put those together. And so now I wanted to talk more specifically about two of our products, which are also being offered as part of the Made in NYC Uncommon Goods collection, which we're super excited about, and introduce our guest, Allie, who is very familiar with these projects and is going to give us some more background.
Hi, everybody. My name is Allie, and I'm a librarian with the New York Public Library. I work with children and teens and tweens, and I love doing STEAM clubs. And Teknikio has been a part of our tech clubs here at NYPL for the past couple of years. So hi. I don't know about the chat or anything, but if anybody wants to pop into the chat, has anybody ever tried sewable circuits before or sewing projects with children? I used to do it a lot when I was a kid, but I don't know if it's as much of a thing now. So if you have a comment on that, feel free to make it in the chat.
Yeah, that's always something that I'm wondering. So when I first started, we learned, and I'm guessing we're of similar generation, how to sew in, elementary school and then middle school, but it's not always taught anymore.
Yeah.
And I really consider sewing to be a life skill, like if a button falls off on your shirt, if you want to change something. You still get like in the hotels and stuff, the little sewing kits. So
Oh, do you?
I'm guessing we all have those around, right?
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like I learned
yeah,
it really young, but like just being able to do mesh that with these really cool science projects that kids are super into, like life skills as well as things that they're going to be able to make light up and buzz, is a really fun sort of convergence of different things.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, let's maybe get into our main kit here, which is Shivers the penguin. Um, you have your Shivers too. And yeah, I thought maybe we'd do a little unboxing, go through the parts, and then talk about Shivers. So Shivers is very tactile, so we're not going to do him justice here. You really have to get your own and experience this, unfortunately. So in the kit, we have a little instruction guidebook here that just shows you how to go through the parts and put him together. And what is included in your kit are pre-cut penguin pieces. So this is not actually true for all of our products. Sometimes we just give you raw material, but since Shivers is so much of his own character, we wanted to create a little bit of a different experience. So these are felt pieces that you can sew, or if you're not so comfortable with sewing, I don't usually say this, but you could use the tacky glue for some parts of these as well, although we encourage you to sew this part. And this part you would sew with just a regular thread. So that's nice because if you're learning how to sew, it's a little bit of a practice. So I'm curious, Allie, I know you did this a few months ago during quarantine with your nephew. How did he, was it his first time sewing?
It was not his first time sewing. He's a veteran crafter,
Oh.
but it was his first time using conductive thread. So
Mm-hmm.
the first thing that I noticed, of course, is that it takes a lot longer, of course, but that also something that is an important tip for when you're using conductive thread is that it's really helpful to have a super, super long piece, because once you
Mm,
start to break up the pieces, then it's a little harder to get the full circuit.
yeah.
But he was really excited to have a little creature to have around with him, and to be able to turn it on and off was really exciting for him.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, so this is the conductive thread that's part of that kit as well. Allie just mentioned. And then do you want to show us the electronic, the guts of
Yes.
Shivers?
So if you are somebody who's done simple circuits before, whether you're an educator or a parent, you're going to be very familiar with the kind of trinity of battery and battery pack, connector, and the thing you're trying to power. So in this case, we have a battery pack like this that is for a 3-volt coin cell battery that you can get pretty much anywhere. The 4 knobs on the side are the ways that we're going to connect that with a conductive thread. And then conductive tape, which can be used. I like to use the conductive thread instead, but I often find that it's nice to use the conductive tape in here to kind of shore up connections to make sure that they're super tight.
Yeah.
And then the most exciting is a vibration motor. I really like to talk about the vibration motor in my classes because a lot of kids are familiar with vibration motors and things like cell phones or things that they use every day that have that sort of quality to them, and the idea that they can use those and they can incorporate those into their own stuffed animals or whatever is really appealing. And then there's lots of, I have a lot of other additions here. So after, I didn't tell you this, Darren, but after we finished Shivers regular, we actually took it a step further and started doing stuff like from the owl. So we added LEDs to behind this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's
Amazing.
I really like about Teknikio is that you can like level it up or level it down. Like my nephew has a little brother and he wanted to be involved too, but doesn't have the tactile ability to sew yet. So we had him use the tape instead. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, so there's a lot of different options.
Yeah, so you can see this Shivers, for example, has a little scarf. I think that's a example of what you might be talking about. We had this fun fabric scrap, so we made him a little scarf. But yeah, so what Shivers does when you not exactly wire, but we still like to say wire him up, build the circuit, is when you just give him a little squeeze and kind of put him in this position as if he's a little chilly, he actually shivers. And so the vibration motor that you mentioned, similar to how it makes your phone vibrate, it makes Shivers vibrate. And so this is a really great kit for just learning how to sew and basic circuits. It's not super complicated. It's just a simple switch, which is actually made from the conductive tape in the kit. And that's a really fun first activity, learning that you can actually make a switch out of anything that's conductive, really. So if you have, for example, in the sewing kits, we have a metal snap, and metal snaps are conductive. And so the two sides of the snap are also conductive. So I would love to actually see, I can't really wait to see what you've done with Shivers. And I think that would be a great introduction to another kit I wanted to mention that's also part of this collection, which has more advanced switches and sensors. And we can kind of talk about how to put this all together, because I apologize. I know the audio and the video didn't come through, so I'll just repeat some of the things that were mentioned in the video. But a big part of what we like to aspire to do at Teknikio is really encourage you to collect all these pieces and make it part of your own personal tool set. And so you might have a part in another kit that you didn't want to complete in that project. Maybe, you're happy with Shivers the way he is, or maybe you have some extra pieces from another kit, but you could bring those into any project. So this is again the like reusable make and remake component of our products. So for example, just one fun thing for Halloween again is these face masks that we have. So I'm just going to bring that. You can see it's lighting up. We have this superhero mask, which we also have a pattern for on our website. So if you buy a kit with lights, you could create this little face mask. I think it's going to be really interesting this year to see where people take masks.
Yeah, and a while back we did this Instagram live event where I sewed them onto a face mask. So because it's quite small and you can sew it behind the fabric, so you don't actually pierce anything or make it not usable as a safe mask. But yeah, and what you were saying before, Darren, too, is it's so important to, like, some kids are very project oriented and others hear the like structured project and they're like, no, I don't even want to deal with that. I want to go do my own thing. So having the option for both of those type of mindsets and both of those sort of developmental stages of childhood is really helpful as somebody who teaches like lots of different age groups.
Awesome. Well, do you want to show us your superhero Shivers?
I don't have them with me. Do you have the video?
Oh yeah. So let's just let's maybe just play that in the background for the Shivers here. So it's this video, right?
Yeah, that's the one
you had shared with me. Okay. So yeah, this is a little bit sped up, but this is also on our YouTube channel, which we'll link after. So instead of going through the instructions, sometimes it's really nice. We like to do these in hands-on workshops normally. So you have another option here of how to follow the instructions. So yeah, let's see here. You're getting the thread ready.
Yeah, threading the needle was kind of the hardest part for a lot of what we did.
It's hard for all ages, yeah.
Yeah.
I have tried different little needle threading things in the past, but I think the best thing is still sharp eyes for threading a needle. And just to also mention, the needles that are in our kits are kind of blunt because we use felt. So you don't have to worry too much about any pointy objects. We try to really keep the whole experience as safe as possible here.
And you can even see in this picture or in this video off in the corner is my blue mask that I decorated with a
right here.
It has like a spaceship on top so that like the LED can shine through the middle, but the part that's pierced is still covered with fabric.
Yeah, definitely.
And what I found with a lot of these is that if I were doing this with a larger group, I would have a lot more like leeway, but with one-on-one projects, like if you're doing this with a child or with siblings and stuff, a lot of it's going to be passed back and forth. Like I would do a stitch here and then they would do a stitch, and then kind of like passing off and sharing skills and eating M&Ms out of a tiny bowl is a really important part of the process, especially if you have like an older sibling and a younger sibling. It can be really nice to kind of share those skills and have a teaching moment between different age groups.
Yeah. So Allie, I think you also mentioned that you had researched some fun facts about penguins.
I mean, I'm here in my library, and so I have all kinds of fun books. This is called "If You Were a Penguin." It has a very cute penguin on the front. I did some child-sized resource about penguins, and so. My first fun penguin fact for you guys while we watch this penguin be created is some penguins can dive up to 1,000 feet or more underwater and stay submerged for up to 25 minutes.
Wow.
So, I don't know if we have any kids listening, but I can hold my breath for like maybe a minute. 25 minutes.
25 minutes. Yeah, I don't even know if I could get that far.
And just like other birds, so every bird kind of has its own little tweeting noise, like you can tell the difference between different birds. The same is true for penguins. So they each have their unique voice, and parents know the sound of their own chicks, of their own baby squeaks. Yeah.
Oh wow, amazing.
Super cute.
Yeah. I wonder if you listen to lots of penguins, if you'd start to be able to, like maybe people who work at an aquarium.
Yeah, if they like start to hear all kinds, like the differences between the penguins, because usually there's lots of different kinds of penguins, and it seems like usually zoos have empire penguins, but there's also some really fun ones like chinstrap, gentoo, rockhopper. There's some tiny pictures of them over here. But there's a lot of different kinds of penguins. We mostly know the emperor penguin and the king penguin, but they're from all over the place. And then I have another book, Wildlife Penguins. This is just my showing books corner. And I have some jokes for you. Are you ready for a joke?
Yeah.
All right. Let me find the one I liked. What goes black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white?
Black, white, black, white. I don't know.
A penguin rolling down a hill.
Oh my god. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I can't wait to use that. I'm going to use that with my friends like tonight. Yeah. I think we all need these kinds of fun jokes right now. That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, so
Um,
like even sped up, like I think that video is like 15 minutes long and it's at double speed. So it like, and that was us doing it kind of hyper quick just so we could like get a video of it. So
yeah.
at minimum, this like put out an hour and a half for this project for and work in breaks and work in like times where you can do a little bit or they can do a little bit. It's kind of just like learning a new skill together, something like reading. Like you don't just throw a book at somebody, you say like, oh, hey, I'll read this first page and then you read the next page and you learn skills as you go. So don't be discouraged by the fact that it might be something new.
Yeah, no, that's really great advice. And again, what you mentioned about the conductive tape. So in this other kit, Sensors and Spaces, we also use a lot of conductive tape. And this is a great, they really pair well together because the Sensors and Spaces has a lot of our sewable electronics, but it doesn't have the vibration motor. And so you can see on the back everything that's in it. But it's again used a lot. So for example, you can use the conductive tape to secure a connection, and you can also use it to just sort of see if something isn't working. Like let's say a lot of times, you have to sew. Let me find a good example here from positive to positive. So let's say that like one of my goats wasn't lighting up. What I could do is just go with a conductive piece of conductive tape and tape from one arm to the next where I sewed to see if that stability will make the connection more secure. And once you kind of troubleshoot and find the spot, you might decide to peel the conductive tape off and just go over it with the conductive thread again.
And something that I always do in my classes when we're doing this, and in practice as well, is before we even start sewing, I kind of have them lay out the circuits with the thread on top and have them like, hold a finger where it would go through or even loop it through the little eyelet holes here and just see if the connection is good, see if everything works before we start sewing and start doing that sort of labor intensive portion.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, and so I'll also just open Sensors and Spaces for you. So as you can see, it's a bit bigger. It's a little bit more of a deluxe experience, but it has 4 different projects in it. And so in here, we have, again, our guidebook, and then we have the conductive tape sticker sheet, the thread, and the electronics pack has quite a few more things in here. So let me just open this up and show you some of the different parts and then the projects that we have. So these are our diamond LEDs. So this was in the face mask that I held up a few minutes ago. So in this particular mask, it's blue, but you could also change the color to make it red or green. And then we have our star-shaped LEDs, and we have a really fun project in that kit around the star-shaped LEDs, which is this constellation. So it uses this light sensor here, which can sense light and dark. And when it's dark, it will actually, let me just see what's going on here. It will actually make all of these starlights light up blue. And so that's another
so cool.
fun project. I don't think that you can see the light too clearly in this video, unfortunately. But it is pretty bright at night. We have the lights on here. And this is actually interesting because we had someone at a workshop sew this onto their bag. So we kind of had this as a hanging, but you could make it into a pillow. You could sew it onto a shirt, again, similar to the face mask. Like this could be kind of a big patch
or even like it on your wall. Like, so when it's that time, you turn it off, turn off the lights and it lights up.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we have our temperature sensor, which actually senses when something is hot or cold. So it has these 2 triggers built in here for warm and cold. And that project is this little temperature sensing cozy. So I actually have some tea here which is warm. And so let me just get him. So when I sort of press his nose up, it should light up red to
Yeah.
indicate that it's hot. So we have our little fox temperature cozy here. He's
Oh.
getting cold, so it's not as warm as he was when I first poured it in.
Will it turn blue? Can you make it so it'll turn blue when it gets cold?
Yeah.
Oh,
So if I put an
cool.
ice cube in there, you can. So with the color changing LED, we have,
Yeah.
let me just hold this up again. It says R and B and G. So if I hooked that up to the blue, exactly, it would
Cool.
turn cold. And then we have our light up slippers. So as you are stepping in them, like let's say these were on my feet and this was my heel right now, just the act of stepping and putting pressure here is making the heart light up. So that's also, I think, a fun kind of fall and wintry project
And that's fun
that
because you
comes.
don't have to like sew yourself a pair of slippers. You can just use ones that you already have.
Exactly. Yeah, that was actually something we thought about similar to Shivers. Like, should we include slippers in this kit? But then I was like, how are we going to find a one size fits all
Yeah.
pair of slippers?
Totally.
And then the last project is this kind of magic plant. So we also have this magnet sensor here, which is really cool. I love these. So these just have two little metal pieces inside this black box. And when you put a magnet near it, it brings those pieces together, just the force of the magnet, and that closes the switch. It's just so simple.
That's so
And
cool.
so you can make one of these leaves on this plant has a small magnet in it. And so when I bring it down in the right way here, it's turning on and off. So that's also like a fun little trick or hack. So yeah, we like to say this kit's a little bit like bringing superpowers to your room or your house, which again during these times is something that we might have more time than usual to do. So
Yeah,
I
you gotta
encourage
think
you
about your
all.
space.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And so yeah, so both of these kits are available through the Uncommon Goods Made in NYC collection. And I'm curious, Allie, what's your favorite one of these LED lights, actually?
Oh, okay. Well, I really like the RBG because I tend to use that in a lot of other tech things I use, like a lot of other tech products where you have to sort of assign lights and assign values to that. So learning the sort of basic lingo and learning the fact that, different pathways and different connections will create different kinds of circuits
Mhm.
is really helpful for me in my lesson. So I like the RBG one a lot. And then also, it speaks to the cute, there it is. It speaks to the idea that it's reusable, right? So if you make something and you want to have a red light, that's great. You can always tear it out and use it for another thing later. I've actually done, and this kind of worked, but I've put a little Velcro on the back of the RBG. So then we can like switch it to different projects across.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and if you shore it up enough with the conductive thread, the connection still works great, and then you can really very easily remove and replace it and reuse it.
Awesome. Cool. So I wanted to actually just show the end of the video here, so we can kind of, you can see the big reveal for Shivers. So here we go. I think it's just, at this point, you're sewing up the bottom.
Yep.
Um, and so yeah, so Shivers, you can, the pieces in the kit are flat, but you can make him plush by stuffing him again with anything you might have. So it could be like an old t-shirt or an old pair of socks. Of course, once they're clean, I know that doesn't sound so nice, but you can still wash the old pair of socks and use that as stuffing material. So yeah, there are a lot of things in your house that you can use again to decorate and complete these projects and make them your own, kind of personalize them.
Yeah.
So here we
There
go.
he is. So then when you see when he touches him, fixing one of the connections. I was testing it to make sure it worked.
Yeah.
And then with this one, they liked it so well that they decided to make it with another one of their favorite animals. So we made a snake that vibrates too.
Oh,
The snake's
oh
tail
wow.
like touches, like curves in like this, using the same sort of motion, the turn in motion. It does that
Super
too. So
cute.
this can inspire different things too.
Yeah, super cute. So yeah, I just wanted to show you here. These are the kits on the Uncommon Goods site. So if you go on there, you can find them. And yeah, we can show the owl as well. So let's go to some different animals. We have also a different project with the plants. I'm just going to search plants here. So in addition to making the plant light up, we have this plant cozy. So it uses the light sensor so that you can kind of see if your plant is getting enough light.
Yeah.
So it's another thing you can do with the sensors and spaces. We use this little buzzer, but you could use a light or something. It wouldn't be enough light to, give your plant the light it needs, but just to sort of, if you happen to look over at the windowsill, hopefully you would notice that something's something's unusual.
You
It's
do
a little
distance
cozy of
sensors
lighting
too?
up. I'm sorry.
You guys have distance sensors too?
So the light sensor can kind of work as a distance sensor.
Yeah.
But we have calibrated it in the circuit so that it's a little bit more sensitive to just light and dark here. So yeah, if you go on to our shop, we also just sell, sorry, I'm just going to go, we just sell the parts alone. So that's another fun thing. You could just have add-ons of more stars or hearts or diamonds. You can see all of our different pieces here. And as you've probably noticed, we really like to have fun with the shapes so that they feel more like they're part of what you're creating. And it's more about, using a star that's a light instead of, let's say, cutting a star shape out and then also putting a light behind it. So I think you use that in your face mask, right?
Yeah, I use 2 stars in my face mask. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, this is kind of what we wanted to show today. I don't know. Let's see if there are any questions going on. Not yet. Do you have any other general tips and tricks around projects? Maybe we could both share some final thoughts.
Well, working in a library, I tend to get lots of different ages. I might get some really young kids one day and some like almost teenagers another day. One way that I've scaled down this project for even younger kids is by using staples.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because the metal can still connect the circuit. And yeah, and then to get the fabric together without actually doing the sewing, which is like if you're only doing like an hour and a half program, can be a little tight.
Yeah,
I've done that. So that's a hack. Patience.
So you just go through one of these holes.
Yeah,
here?
so I put it through one. And, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, interesting. I haven't tried that.
And then also just, staple the fabric together too.
Yeah, but you'll be careful when you're doing that, probably,
Of
just
course.
to make sure you don't create any short circuits. And that's something that we have just at the end, some troubleshooting guides. But yeah, what do you do if something totally doesn't work? What would you recommend that people?
You read my mind. I was just about to talk about that. So I do a lot of STEAM and STEM programming, and something always goes wrong. Sometimes unfixably so, often fixably so. But the whole point of doing projects like these with young folks is to work on their problem-solving skills, right? So like to talk about what is not working and why it's not working and how we can change that. So if you run into this circuit and it's absolutely not working, instead of saying, oh, well, let's just throw this away and try again, let's take a look and see, well, what could the problems be? What do we see on the project that we're working with? And are there any changes that we can make before we have to go completely back to the drawing board? And just kind of hone in the fact that you do have to do these things multiple times before you have a deep understanding of how they work. And especially for an adult like me, who is not like a, I'm not a tech creator, I just do this for fun, that nobody's an expert and that practice makes perfect and these sort of things. So yeah, that's what I would say. If something really goes wrong, we stop and we think about it. And if they can't fix it within the time frame, we usually I try to scale it down in the various ways that we've talked about, or leave it open-ended for them to try again next time.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I think patience is really a key factor for a lot of these. And that's why it's also great, like you said, to just start small, maybe a circuit like Shivers. And then once you're ready, you can do something more like this constellation, which actually has a lot of seams. I mean, I would say this could take up a whole afternoon, but I would also recommend doing it in parts, because at times you might need to, first test that one star is working and then like add some more stars as you go, so you have a starting point.
Test.
Just
always test.
Yeah. And as you're getting more into circuits, I'll just add, something that I always have on my desk here is a multimeter. This is a great tool. Once you're ready, to get really invested in engineering and technology, I highly recommend getting yourself a multimeter. This is a great tool for measuring why things may or may not be working. And one other common problem, if you have made something and let's say, like you made the space mask, and this is actually something that I think was made almost a year ago. And so you can see that the light is flickering a little bit. And so it's great in that case just to check your battery and make sure that your battery has charged, because sometimes, you get through this whole project and you think something's wrong, but the problem is actually just that the battery is dead. Always dispose of your batteries responsibly. You can take them to Home Depot, Whole Foods, different places. We actually also have, I'll mention, a rechargeable coin cell battery that we sell on our website, and a little USB charger. So if you are making a lot of these projects, that's something that I would recommend looking into as well. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Allie, and for everyone tuning in. I hope that this has given you an appetite for wanting to get crafting and sewing with circuits. And I will actually, just to end, I'm just gonna, if we can go back to the inventions, I'll just show a few more. So we made this seasonal, but I'll just call out, last year we made this Queen of Hearts project. So we have some different components from that. So this is a whole skirt that has the star LEDs, or you could do it with this is the hard LEDs, but you could do it with the star LEDs as well. So just some different projects that you could incorporate, again, into your own Halloween costume. And we'll be posting some more in the next few weeks. So definitely check back into the seasonal section of the inventions database. Again, thank you all for joining us. I'm super excited to see what people make, and you can always share your projects online. You can email them to us. We love to see what people create. If you're on Instagram, you can tag us, just hashtag Teknikio, or we're also promoting our Invent from Home hashtag right now. So we want everyone to keep making and crafting from home and grow your skill base. It's a perfect time to do so, especially in the coming months where we'll be spending more time at home. Cool. Great.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks everybody for watching, and thank you, Darren. It's great to talk with you again. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you. And thank you to
fun.
Made in NYC for having us.